In early 2023, the mobile gaming world was restless. Millions of players were waiting for the next serious shooter. A game powerful enough to stand against PUBG Mobile and Call of Duty Mobile. And right at that moment, EA made a decision that stunned the entire industry. They didn't just cancel a game, they erased an entire studio. And more than 100 developers lost their jobs overnight. You already know the name, Battlefield Mobile. This was supposed to be the mobile rebirth of one of the most legendary military FPS franchises ever created. A game designed to bring back classic Battlefield memories, iconic maps like Grand Bazaar, and introduce mobile players to a new level of large-scale warfare. But instead of launching worldwide, the game disappeared completely. So what actually went wrong? Let's break it down. How it all started? The story begins in July 2018. That's when EA quietly acquired a small studio called Industrial Toys. This wasn't a random mobile studio. It was founded by Alex Seropian, one of the original creators of Halo, a name with real weight in the FPS genre. EA didn't buy the studio to simply downgrade Battlefield for phones. Their vision was much bigger. They wanted a fully original Battlefield experience, built from scratch, designed specifically for mobile devices. At first the team was small, just 12 to 14 developers. But as the project grew more serious, the studio expanded rapidly. Eventually, Industrial Toys had over 120 developers working on Battlefield Mobile. That level of investment sent a clear message. EA believed in this project for the long term. The big reveal: after nearly 3 years of development, Battlefield Mobile was officially revealed in April 2021. Around the same time, DICE's general manager confirmed that the game had been in early prototyping for years. This wasn't a rushed mobile cash grab. EA also made one thing very clear. Battlefield Mobile was not a PC or console port. Just like Call of Duty Mobile, this was a standalone experience. Built for touch controls. Built for shorter play sessions. But still true to the Battlefield identity. And the timing couldn't have been better. Mobile shooters were dominating the charts. Ranked grinding was at its peak. Competitive play was everywhere. Battlefield Mobile was promised to deliver things mobile players had never truly experienced before. Massive maps, vehicles, and real environmental destruction. EA confirmed classic modes like Conquest and Rush, popular Battlefield 3 maps, the 4-class system, and vehicles like tanks and ATVs. There were even discussions about air combat. For a moment it felt like console-style Battlefield warfare was finally coming to mobile. But looking back now, expectations may have climbed too high. Early tests and rising hype. Instead of keeping everything behind closed doors, EA allowed players to try the game fairly early. From late 2021 through most of 2022, Battlefield Mobile went through multiple closed alpha and beta tests. These tests were focused mainly on Southeast Asian regions. Countries like the Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore. Even players outside those regions followed every leak, clip, and livestream closely. And the early impressions were surprisingly positive. What impressed players the most was the real-time destruction. This wasn't scripted damage. Explosions could break walls, open new flanking routes, and even collapse parts of buildings during fights. It genuinely felt like Battlefield 3 optimized for mobile. Performance was another major surprise. Even mid-range phones were delivering smooth gameplay close to 60 frames per second. Directional audio was sharp and precise, making enemy movement easy to track. With iconic maps, heavy gunplay, and a specialist system, Battlefield Mobile felt close to something special. And one question kept getting louder. When is the global release? Problems behind the scenes. But when everything feels too perfect, something is usually wrong behind the scenes. Internally, Battlefield Mobile was already struggling. The biggest issue was vision. A project of this size needs absolute clarity. And that clarity slowly disappeared. Tension started growing between the Industrial Toys developers and EA's top leadership. Originally, Battlefield Mobile was meant to be a true standalone game, similar to Call of Duty Mobile. For years, EA supported this plan. But later, EA changed direction. They started pushing for a connected ecosystem, shared progression between PC, console, and mobile, similar to what Warzone Mobile was aiming for. This sudden shift destroyed years of planning. Industrial Toys had spent nearly 4 years building a standalone Battlefield experience. And just as the game was nearing completion, the goalposts were moved. Then came another major problem: assets. Instead of reusing PC assets, the team chose to build almost everything from scratch. Characters, animations, textures, environments. The quality was impressive, but the cost was brutal. Time and money were being burned at an unsustainable pace. At this point, Battlefield Mobile had no clear identity. Development costs were exploding, and internal frustration kept growing. Battlefield 2042 changes everything. Then Battlefield 2042 launched in late 2021, and it was a disaster. Bugs, missing features, broken gameplay, massive backlash from fans. It quickly became one of the most criticized launches in Battlefield history. Even though Battlefield Mobile was a separate project, corporate reality doesn't work that way. The failure of Battlefield 2042 damaged trust in the entire Battlefield brand. EA's leadership panicked. Launching another Battlefield game, even on mobile, suddenly felt risky. So priorities shifted. Resources were pulled away from Battlefield Mobile and redirected toward fixing Battlefield 2042. With internal conflict already growing, the mobile project was pushed closer to the edge. The final blows then came two major wake-up calls from the global market. The first was Apex Legends Mobile. Despite huge hype and positive reviews, the game earned around $36 million in total revenue. For most companies, that sounds impressive. For EA, competing with giants like PUBG Mobile and Free Fire, it wasn't enough. That raised a serious question. If Apex couldn't dominate the market, how would Battlefield Mobile survive with a damaged brand? The second blow was Apple's IDFA privacy changes. Marketing costs skyrocketed. User acquisition became far more expensive. Launching Battlefield Mobile would now require a massive advertising budget. EA no longer felt confident spending. At that point, Battlefield Mobile stopped feeling like a passion project. It started looking like a financial risk. The end. On January 31, 2023, EA pulled the plug. No farewell post. No thank you message. No emotional goodbye. The cancellation was casually announced during an earnings call. One sentence, and Battlefield Mobile was over. But the real devastation wasn't just the game. EA shut down Industrial Toys entirely. A studio created for one mission, led by a legendary figure in gaming, vanished overnight. More than 120 developers lost their jobs after spending 4 to 5 years on this project. For fans, it felt like betrayal. Pre-registrations disappeared. The Play Store page was removed. Servers went offline. Everything was gone. EA claimed the industry had changed and that they wanted a connected ecosystem. But the truth is simple. Battlefield Mobile didn't die because it was bad. It died because it was trapped in corporate chaos. So tell us, were you excited for Battlefield Mobile? Subscribe for more deep gaming explainers. And we'll see you in the next one.